All right, welcome back to Paranormal Bad Bitches. That's my dog. Oh, don't have a wrong baby. No, come here. Go. Now you can be a part of the podcast. Oh, hi. Welcome back to Paranormal Bad Bitches. Lydia and Brianna. We are going over the Lizzie Borden House today, so buckle up, dudes. It's gonna get weird. It is located in Fall River, Massachusetts, and if you haven't heard of the Lizzie Borden House, then it's kind of crazy. Like, there was so much that happened, and it is probably one of the most notorious unsolved murders there is in the US, I feel like. The house was built in 1845, and Andrew Borden bought the house in 1872. He immediately had it remodeled so his family could comfortably live there, and he was kind of a penny pincher. He didn't put any indoor plumbing in. He chose this house because it was in walking distance of the business that he had located on Main Street, which was a block over. Andrew's wife, Abby Borden, was the one that upkept the house along with their maid Bridget, who also goes by Maggie. And she was pretty proud of it. She was proud of her role as a wife and stepmother to Emma and Lizzie, Andrew's daughters. And the only thing with them is they looked at the house as a prison. They did not like it quite as much as Abby and Andrew did. Lizzie was born in July 19th of 1860, and Emma was born March 1st of 1851. Her parents were Andrew and Sarah Borden. Sarah had died at the age of 39, and her cause of death was uterine congestion and spinal disease. Now, back in the 1800s, this was a general phase for gynecological issues. So even looking back at records and notes from the 1800s, there's not a very clear understanding of what it was that she had actually died from. Some of the stuff that it did cover, though, was endometriosis, uterine cancer, uterine hemorrhage, and miscarriages. And Lizzie was 2.5 years old when she died, which means Emma was 1860, 1851, 10 or 11. Now, for Lizzie... And maybe this is just because I'm a 90s baby, but doesn't she give you mean principal vibes from Matilda? I don't know if it's just me, but she gives me mean Matilda principal vibes. Anyways, back to Lizzie. Her father had remarried, and her name was Abby Gray, and they were married for around 27 years before they had been killed. The Borden sisters, Lizzie and Emma, they did not care much about their stepmother, and the family did not get along. So the daughters, Lizzie and Emma, they thought that Abby was just after their father's money, gold digger. The parents were super rich. Andrew was worth about $10 million in today's money. And Emma and Lizzie really just thought that Abby was after her father's money. And they started to wonder where all the inheritance would go, because their father had given some of the properties that he owned to Abby's family. And I think it kind of just started getting a little touchy for him. So now we're going to go into the murders a little bit more in detail. So if you don't like gore or blood or anything like that, I would highly suggest you skip this part, or the video in general, because I go over that quite a bit from here on out. August 4th of 1892, Andrew and Abby Borden were found dead inside their home by Lizzie, who had alerted Bridget, or Maggie, the maid. The way she had alerted her is kind of sketchy. So I don't know about you. I know the family didn't get along, but if you walked in and saw your father dead, wouldn't you just be completely frantic and just so insane? Not, oh no, Maggie, oh my god, somebody came and killed Dad. Like, wouldn't you just be, like, hysterical? Like, I don't know. I feel like this entire case is just super contradictory, so, like, I don't know. I don't know what to believe. Andrew was found on the couch when he was trying to take a nap. Good wake-up call. His face was nearly split into two, and he was hit at most 11 times. Abby was found upstairs next to her bed on the ground, face down, and her head was smashed into pieces and hit 19 times. Like, I don't know if you guys know anything about passion killing, but, like, basically if it's, like, excessive, like 11 and 19, like, bashes to the head, it's usually because there's some sort of emotion behind it that triggered it. Which, to be fair, Lizzie did have enough motive to kind of push that, you know, with the inheritance in question and everything like that. Now, allegedly they were killed with a hatchet. It was handleless, so it was just like the top of an axe. But I say allegedly for a reason. They never actually proved it to be the murder weapon, but they found it downstairs in the basement, bloodied, next to a pile of bloody clothes. So chances are it probably was. Lizzie was an instant suspect in this case. During the week between the murders and when she was arrested, she was actually caught burning a dress. And the prosecution actually tried to claim that she was burning the dress because it had blood on it and it had evidence on it. And Lizzie had just claimed that she had gotten paint on it. Which, yes and no, I can see both ways, but the prosecution later tried to claim that she... I'm sorry. I laugh. It's not funny. I laugh because it wouldn't be my first thought for the next part, and I'll explain it here in a minute. But the prosecution later tried to claim that she killed them naked, which, like, I don't know about you, but I would not kill somebody naked. Like, I would much rather just try to get rid of the clothes. I'm not saying that I would kill somebody. No, I don't think I would kill anyone. Maybe one person. But down in the description, I do have the trial record link down below, so you guys can actually go through and read what happened during the trial and what questions were asked, how she responded, which it was really interesting to read for me because I didn't I didn't know they kept records like that. I don't know why, but when I found it, I was like, oh my god, like, this is so cool. It's just silly. Now, some of the evidence they found, Andrew was worth around $10 million in today's money. Some people say that Andrew and Abby were killed out of revenge because of how sketchy Andrew's business was. And, like, anyone that's, like, in the business industry, there's always something slightly sketchy they do. But especially back in, like, the 1800s, like, that's not that big of a surprise to me. Because they had a little bit more leniency to do sketchy shit like that. But soon after Andrew's death, police realized that Lizzie had the most to gain out of their deaths, and they began to focus on her, which I get to an extent, but I also feel like they might have gotten tunnel vision. Like, I know the evidence points to her, but, like, if it did, she would have been, you know, not acquitted. So, like, I don't know. Abby's murder followed Andrew's murder by almost an hour. So that's the part that kind of confuses me, because it takes a lot to bash someone's head in with a fucking hatchet. How would they have not heard it? And, like, supposedly the maid was in the house, but she was upstairs taking a nap. So, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Like, an hour in between deaths? Like, why? You know, like, why not just go kill them? I guess it might take a lot of energy. Gotta reboost your smashing hand. There was like absolutely no physical evidence connecting Lizzie to the deaths of her father and stepmother. And I'm not entirely sure why they jumped on her, minus the fact that she had the most to gain and that she was caught burning a dress. The police were really reluctant to use any type of like forensic evidence or forensic testing because it was so new and in its infancy back then. They didn't trust it, so they didn't get fingerprints off the hatchet to compare to any suspects. Yeah, kind of blows my mind. That's on them. They did prove that Lizzie was trying to buy poison. It's called prussic acid. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But it was the days following the murders, and they wanted to use it as like a first attempt of her trying to kill her parents. And her defense team got it ruled out, and the prosecution could not present it at trial. Now, it can be used, the puric acid can be used in engraving, explosives, or dye processes. And she did end up failing to buy it at the time, so it really, like, it had no weight in the trial. Like, she failed at buying it. Like, how would you try to use that as, oh, that was her first attempt? But she didn't buy it. So, like, I don't know. They did have a key moment where Lizzie's statement had contradicted her testimony, but her defense team got that successfully ruled as inadmissible. Which, go them. I mean, if you had a defense team, like, you'd want them to be, like, all for you, you know? Like, you'd want them to defend you. So, like, she had one hell of a defense team, I guess. The only thing is, so, just keep in mind, it is an all-male jury at the time. Okay? So the fact there was no blood found on Lizzie, she was Christian and ladylike, and the way she was dressed and acted, you know, that all-male jury came back and acquitted her with 90 minutes of deliberation. 90 minutes, that's it. That's all. Now, after the trial, Lizzie and Emma ended up inheriting a large sum of their father's fortune, and they purchased a house together and lived there for the next 10 years. Now, although she was not found guilty, the community never accepted her again because she was guilty in their eyes. And later in 1897, her reputation was later even farther tarnished because she was accused of shoplifting. So that's great, dumbass. They eventually made a rhyme about her, but it says, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Now, she allegedly hit her stepmother 19 times and her father almost, or at most 11. Not the 81 they rhyme about. Now, it's still quite a bit of, you know, whacks, but it's not the 81 they claim. Now, in 1905, Emma had suddenly moved out of the house, and she was uncomfortable with the relationship that Lizzie had with another female, Nance O'Neill. And she never really spoke on the issue, so when she had moved out, it really didn't help Lizzie's case because everyone kind of just assumed that she moved out because she had found something out about the murders, when the fact is Lizzie was just gay. And they weren't accepting of it they weren't as accepting of homosexuality as we are now. But even after Lizzie's death by pneumonia, she died in 1927. No one ever offered any additional information about the murders of Andrew and Abby Borden, and it is still unsolved to this day, which I think is on the police, because who wouldn't take fucking fingerprints? Dumbasses. The crazy thing, at least in my opinion, it's not like a crazy thing, but Emma Borden died only days after Lizzie did. Crazy. She had died in Newmarket, New Hampshire. Now, the doubts that I have on the case. Now, Andrew was quite the penny pincher, okay? This man was worth $10 million in today's money, which is a lot of money, okay? And despite his considerable wealth, the Bordens lived in comparably a small home back then, and they had no indoor plumbing on the ground and the second floors, and they only had one maid. Which, like, I personally think having one maid is just a lot in general. Like, I just bougie, but to have only one for someone who owns $10 million, like, you could have so much more staff on hand, and they didn't. Lizzie did not have one splatter of blood on her. Not one. Which means if she had killed them, I remind you, no indoor plumbing, cleaning herself up would not have been an easy or a quick process. She would have had to literally fill a tub, or however they used to fucking wash themselves back in the day. But it wouldn't have been just hop in the shower like we would now, you know? Like, she would have had to put a lot of effort in. And, like, some people say, well, she probably did it, you know, in between the murders of, you know, Andrew and Abby. But what did she do after Abby then? You know? Like, I don't know. I'm a skeptical person of everything, so trust issues. I personally feel like the police jumped to her because she had the most to gain. Not because of the physical evidence. And when they found out she was burning a dress, I feel like they were like, oh, that's evidence. Another thing is, the murder weapon was never actually confirmed as the murder weapon. And, like, I know that's just kind of, like, on the legal standpoint, but, like, I mean, it was a bloody hatchet. Obviously, it was the murder weapon. But they never actually confirmed it was because they didn't do any, like, fingerprint testing on it. So, like, all they had was a bloody axe. You know, that's it. And despite how she's been depicted after numerous television shows and movies, Lizzie was actually a popular and social young woman before the incidents of her father and stepmother's deaths. She was involved in many organizations related to her church and social movements of the time. Such as the Christian Endeavor Society and Women's Christian Temperance Union. And she was well liked by the community and well known before the murders. And some of the theories is that Andrew had an illegitimate son named Billy, and Lizzie knew him and helped cover up the crime, which to me makes more sense. I don't think she killed them. I think she helped cover it up. Like, I don't think she's not involved. That's not what I'm saying. Sorry, there's something in my eyeball. I just don't think she killed them. It just doesn't add up. There's another theory that Andrew was having an affair with the maid, and that the maid was in the house during the time of murder, which she was. Okay, she was up in the attic where she stayed. That was her room up there. And, like, apparently she woke up because Lizzie had called her down. I'm like, oh my god, someone killed father. But how would you not hear that? Like, I really want to go to the house and go sit in the attic and then have someone hit, like, something that would have been close to, like, the... Ow, that was my jaw. Oh, ASMR, you ready? So the house is known to be haunted by Andrew, Abby, Lizzie, and Emma. Now, their graves are just down the road, which is pretty cool. If we ever go there, we're definitely going to have to visit those. But yeah, so people tend to, you know, see full apparitions of them. They hear, like, stuff moving, doors opening, doors closing, especially up in the bedroom where Abby was found and down on the couch. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, any advice, I'm still willing to listen. I have tried to improve multiple things. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the lighting is better and my background has our logo on it. And I think I got the mic a little bit better. I can't quite figure out how to get that weird, like, in the background to go away. But we'll figure it out, I'm sure. I think I just need to get a better mic, to be honest. Or something that, like, because this room echoes really bad, so yeah, I don't know. We'll work on it. We're working on everything else. We're also, my husband and I, we are taking a trip to Florida, April 10th to the 14th. So if you guys have any locations down there you guys like us to check out, that would be awesome. Preferably within like less than an hour drive of Miami. But yeah, so we will see you guys next week for the Queen Mary ship. Lydia really wanted us to do it, so we are doing the Queen Mary ship. And we will go from there. If you have any stories you want us to go over, let us know. Peace.